here from the Schoolhouse for Art, ready for another Schoolhouse for Art conversation. And today I have the absolute pleasure to talk to Charles Miano, who is going to be joining us from his studio in Florida. He is an American artist who explores humanistic values using a classic foundation of contemporary inspiration. He's an art associate living master and the founder of his own of Miano Academy of Art in Sarasota. He is going to talk to us today all about what is a Tronie, the term chiaroscuro. We are going to talk about his upcoming workshops when he's here with us in August. I'm looking forward to hearing what he is working on at the moment. And let me see if I can get him online. I totally mixed up the time difference when we were planning this. So he's very good to be accommodating me right now. So let me see. All right. Charles, let's see if it works. It's lovely to see so many people joining us this evening. Okay, here we are. Charles.
Hi, Lana.
Now, after our little scurry just to get us here, but thank you.
How
You're
are you
so
doing?
kind. I'm great. I'm super. How are you doing?
I'm doing super as well. Super duper.
Great. You've been busy and you've just stepped out of the studio to accommodate this conversation. So I'm really grateful.
Yes. So thank you for calling. I always enjoy talking to you and especially hearing your beautiful Irish accent. To us Americans, it's just wonderful to hear.
Well, you'll be sick of it when you're here for 2 weeks in August again.
Oh, I'll never get sick of that. Yeah. I'm looking forward to coming in August.
I know. We're really looking forward to having you back. And word obviously is getting around with how super your workshop was last year because the tickets or the spaces are booking out fast. So it's great.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Yeah, we had a great time.
It was super. It was really good. And I know we're doing slightly different workshops with you this year. So we have obviously the portrait in sanguine and then the chiaroscuro portrait painting in oils in August.
Yes, the sanguine drawing is always very popular.
Yes.
We have the special chalks that we use to kind of emulate the old master technique, which is my love. So I think everyone will enjoy that.
It's a pity we didn't look at what was on in the National Gallery because at the moment there's an incredible exhibition called Turning Heads that I got the pleasure to go and see, and it has works by all the Dutch and Flemish artists from the 16th and 17th century. So it has Rembrandt, Vermeer.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, some fantastic, some really.
I hope it's
so
still
if
there
anyone,
when I come.
I know it's finished the 26th of May.
Really?
Yeah. But it's really fabulous, and it all talked about the term a Tronie.
Really?
So it's all about
Tronies
that.
in there. You're kidding? Wow.
Only Tronies. It's only Tronies.
You're kidding me. Oh
yeah.
My gosh, that's awesome.
I know. I was thinking this is not fair that this is here and you're not, because
we should have scheduled a little earlier, you know.
We should have. Next year I'm going to plan better. I'm going to make sure that if something like this is on,
check the National Gallery before.
That's it. Yeah, I'll make sure they keep me posted. But it's a beautiful exhibition. But it did make me think of the conversations we've had when we were talking about even how to explain the word and discuss what it means.
I picked up on this term years ago when I was studying Rembrandt techniques, and you'd see all these Tronies, all of these character studies. And of the time, Rembrandt would just kind of throw some costume on, even himself, but he'd on other models and things, and do these, just quick portrait character studies. And I love those, And I thought I was really weird, very odd for being like one of the few people who really like those. But I started to do these workshops and do a lot of Tronies myself, just like these head studies and things. And I love costume and I love all that kind of themes, and it's catching on. And now people are using the term Tronies again, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of them here at my academy.
And I guess the biggest kind of question or the confusion is, what's the difference between a portrait and a Trony? Or is there a difference?
Well, a Tronie is a portrait of a person, but usually they have a little bit of a theatrical flair to them, or they're depicting a particular person from history or from myth. For instance, you know, uh, these artists would have some costumes in the collection, and sometimes, like, I live here in Florida, right? And so everybody walks around in t-shirts and flip-flop. It's very boring to paint, you know. Not the so, but I come from a family of kind of theater people, so thespians, and so it wasn't unusual for me to be, my father, who was in the theater, to say, okay, play this character. We're going to put this clothes on you, this costume. So growing up, I was just around that kind of the dramatic arts a little bit. So we have at the studio costumes. I could say, okay, today you're going to be Joan of Arc, or today you're going to be, John the Baptist, or you're going to be whoever, someone from history. And I found that many of the painters and the old masters did the same thing. They would take someone, maybe a beggar from the streets or someone from the local neighborhood, and then do an actual character study, usually expressed with a little bit more bravura than like a typical commissioned portrait. These were done for the artists,
Okay.
as studies, and so a little more expressive in nature, a Trony could be. And yeah, I just love looking at them, because sometimes they're my favorite works by old masters, is what they were doing in their studios, a lot of times for fun or for study.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
you did get a little bit more of a sense of the even the person behind the artist, that it showed their playfulness and maybe what they were trying to learn, and how they then got to maybe a different finished piece. Part of what
Right.
we saw in this exhibition was maybe head studies, and then you might see the head study reflected in
Mhm.
a bigger, say, historical painting, or
Exactly.
something like that.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes, they would use that study. Um, Yeah, it's interesting, because nowadays it's not super popular. People just say, "Oh, just paint, what's real, just what's contemporary, and what's around you now, like a snapshot." And that's what the majority of artists do. So when I was starting to do these tronies, where I'd be like dressing people up and you saying you're not of this time, or you're from another time, or they could be of this time, as well, but just a little bit more of a caricature or a character. Um, yeah, it was kind of different. But I think nowadays, especially, with all the realist artists, and the classically trained artists coming to the fore again, we're seeing that people are enjoying that kind of a thing too, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it allows you create more of a composition around what your portrait's going to be, as opposed to it just being about the sitter. That
Yeah,
it's about everything else that's going on around.
right. Exactly. And I dress myself up too. Like Rembrandt did that, he
Yes.
would he would like put on like big berets and hats and things, and just very dramatic, and he do self-portraits as somebody else, so and many artists have done that, and I like to do that too.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean it's great, and I know a big part of I guess the end result, or while you're creating a Trony is, or painting a Trony, is the lighting. So, and is that where this term chiaroscuro
Oh
associated with,
yeah.
or is it I know it can be used broadly, but
Yes. Well, I love to paint chiaroscuro. It's Italian for light dark, and the very it enhances the drama. We know of Caravaggio and how dramatic his paintings are. It's all about the light. Almost a spotlight. On his subject. Very, very theatrical in a way, but and the real darks in the painting. And that too is it's something that I think is timeless, and you can apply that in any kind of painting, not just a Trony, but it's timeless. A lot of, and it's very different for today. Today, and in a lot of contemporary art, we see very colorful just paintings full of color and lots of blue, and high key. And so this also is a very kind of old way, of looking at things. We know chiaroscuro started with Leonardo, and he did some wonderful portraits with, a dark black background. And Leonardo said a portrait should be started with always a wash of black first, because nothing exists in nature except when revealed by the light. And so he pulled the light out of the dark, right? Just almost like giving birth. And so he started that, and then he really began working with sfumato, the smokiness of the edge quality. And as that progressed, other artists picked up on this. Obviously Caravaggio and all the Caravaggisti, all of his followers, there were many, and many of them fantastic. We think of von Honthorst, we think of Rembrandt was a big, huge fan of Caravaggio. But Rembrandt really, whereas Caravaggio was more tenebristic, meaning that it was very stark in terms of black backgrounds. Rembrandt took that a step further when he introduced kind of spatial depth in those kind of shadowy areas. And Rembrandt said a painting is only finished when it has the shadows of a god.
Wow.
So he loved it as well, and reveled in the light, what we call light effect painting, which is what I really pursue. And so it's hard, because when you're just working in a digital world, people are only seeing your work, on a screen. They're not seeing the real painting. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure, as you noticed, is when you go to the museums, you see it with a real painting, you can see into the shadows. There's a sense of light and atmosphere there. And so I think that's why it's so important to view paintings in person. So I pursue that when I paint. And what we're going to be talking about at the workshop, the chiaroscuro workshop, the Trony workshop, is we're going to be getting into not just how to compose these kind of colorful character studies, but how to create the light effect. And I'll be introducing that traditional technique of moving from the dead color stage into the final, what they call working up. Traditional artists, particularly in the Netherlands, they call working up the painting in color. And we're going to do both opaque painting, but also we're going to be using very special glazing mediums so that we can create an optical effect, so that when our eyes penetrate the glaze layers, they'll hit the layers underneath, The light rays will bounce back and create a glow. And this is the glow that you see in old master paintings that you don't see in many paintings done today. So I'm excited to share this technique with everyone.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And what you were talking about when you're looking at the paintings up close, what's always really interesting is seeing so much detail in the shadow that's only captured by certain light when you're looking at it. And it must, I marvel at how artists can achieve such detail in such shadow of the work. Do you work from the darkest point and then keep getting lighter in your work, or does it vary in how you approach?
Many artists do. I work all over the place at once, so I'm always relating the shadows to the lights. And what we don't realize though is that we can learn how to direct a viewer's eye around a painting just by how we're emphasizing the light effect. And so what I strive for is to do that, is to compositionally design where the viewer will look in the painting, and in those areas, particularly in the light areas, really make it glow, bring up the modeling, and because naturally as human beings, that's what we do. We look toward the lights. Where something that's lit, and we might not even realize we're doing it. So we're using little psychological tools, as artists, and we're using techniques that, of course, are not my own, but I put a modern spin on the traditional techniques of chiaroscuro and sfumato, and even painting Tronies. So, it's a method. And the beautiful thing about it, Lana, is that when you use a method, you can use that method as a particular workflow, as the craftsman artists did in the 17th century. And you can repeat that over and over again and get good at it. Mm-hmm. And so anyone can learn it if you learn and memorize this method and then practice it over and over and over again. So, and that's what we do at the Academy, is we share this method so that just about anyone could learn, one step at a time, getting good at this stage, then moving to the next stage, then moving to the next stage, get good at it so they can enable their creativity, and that's what's so much fun to do.
It's amazing that even like so many hundreds of years later, we're still learning so much from these artists that, must not have had many, resources at their disposal. And here we are still marveling over them and worshipping their, and learning so much about their work.
It is amazing, isn't it?
It's really incredible. If only they knew we were having a conversation on a phone about them. On a that other people are able to interact and have conversations with us. I think it's incredible how such such a classical technique is still being honored today in lots of ateliers around the world and in academies like yours, where people are trying to really enhance their own artistic development by learning these techniques. Which
it's
great.
A preservation mission too, but it's timeless. You look at these paintings; they're timeless. And I was just looking at, I got some beautiful high quality prints of
I saw them. They're stunning.
Recently.
Oh
yeah, they're from. And you can look at them and you say, this is timeless. They're so well done. They're not time bound, And I think it's just up to us as, people like weird people like me who are born in a different century to kind of keep this alive,
Yes.
Keep these techniques alive and to advocate for that we're in a very, kind of opposite world, which is so digital. I think I think they will only become more and more appreciated, and the work that we do will only become more appreciated as well because it's hand done, you know,
Hmm.
and uh, and more than just appreciation, doing it is really like my whole purpose. I enjoy doing this so
Yeah.
much. I wouldn't do anything else,
Yeah.
you know.
So
So
what are you doing at the moment? Are you finding time for your own work?
I'm I'm really I'm teaching a lot, of
Hmm.
course, at the academy, but yes, I have a couple of commissions going on right now. I'm just finishing up a landscape, and then I also have a portrait commission, a large portrait commission that I'll be working on. And I just submitted the sketches today, so we'll
Oh,
see which sketch they like, and then we'll see which one I'll be painting for the client. Yeah.
do you find it hard to balance, to, to motivate yourself with your own work, or to keep yourself on a deadline? Is there something that you
It's
tend
very
to,
difficult, very
yeah,
difficult to find the time, and I'm really trying to more and more. But my teaching is also getting much more in demand.
hmm,
So I'm actually finding myself having to say no to a lot of kind of opportunities that are great opportunities, but that I just need to make more space for my work, and then also my kind of priority is the academy here. So I have apprentices who have moved here from all over the country, and they're committing their life to full-time study, and
yeah,
so I have an obligation to kind of put them first, and then as well. But I love traveling and to do workshops, and when I can, I'm scheduled now through all next year. So it's just as long
good.
as we do it in advance, and then, but I can't accept every invitation because for that reason I have to do some work.
I know. Yeah, well, this is
Right?
you realize you've just said yes to too many things, and then all of a sudden
Yeah, yeah,
you've not actually managed to paint or to draw yourself. Um,
yeah.
because so I know another thing that we're both involved in is the Art Renewal Centre.
Yes.
You are an associate living master, and we have just become an approved school with the ateliers. So
Congratulations.
thank you. We're very excited about it.
That's a
Um,
milestone.
yeah,
That's a milestone.
we are.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, we're thrilled to be part of it, and I guess it's fitting in the conversation where we're talking about really preserving, um, learning in these ways. We have our atelier that obviously runs out in the venue. You hosted your workshop last year out in Rusper House.
Beautiful, beautiful, and the
It
work
is
is amazing, and the place is amazing.
the color
I mean, what
green.
a studio! What a studio!
It. I mean, you do
Incredible.
you are, and then obviously surrounded by all of the art in the actual house
Oh
itself.
yeah, we walked in. We saw right there. They had a couple of sergeants on the wall, like just a few feet away from the studio. They had, which I loved. There at your location, they had a sergeant copy of a Velasquez painting, which showed that he was studying
Yeah,
the old masters. And I think they might have had two of them there. They were just amazing. So I was really thrilled. Yeah,
yeah.
you have an amazing setup going on there.
Well, thank you. Thanks a million. I mean, and you were very generous with your advice when you were out there as well, because obviously we were just finishing our first year of our atelier, um,
Mhm.
and moving it out to Rusper at the time, because we had been running it in Enniskerry. So thankfully now we've done 2 terms. We're nearly finished our second term of the atelier
Wow,
out there. So the
that's
students
great.
are kind of starting to try and finish the work that they're on, but thankfully a lot will be coming back in September.
Awesome.
But it's great to be part of it, and to to be part, to be sharing that sort of passion for
Yeah.
uh the realism and
Yeah.
classical training. So
So now, are
great.
you the only ARC approved academy in Ireland at this
Yes,
point?
we
Or
are. Yes,
wow.
we are.
Right. 5, high 10.
Yes.
Awesome. That
Um,
is incredible,
Thank you.
you know?
Yeah,
Wow, you're
it's
doing
good. It's good.
something really worthwhile. You know,
Thank you.
you're carrying on the torch.
Yes, all the way in Little Ireland with our lovely green grass.
Ireland is incredible. I love it there. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to come. And I hope anybody who's watching this, I hope you join us at the workshop
Yeah,
because Ireland is just the place to be, you know. I loved it there. I absolutely loved it.
I know. I
Yeah.
know,
The
and
Schoolhouse
that's
for Art is really the best when you
oh,
think about it.
you're
It's just
you're.
awesome, especially because it has Lana, you
It's
know.
like I've had to pay you. Neil is watching and has asked me to say hello.
Oh, hey, Neil.
Yay.
Good to see you.
And someone asked me to ask you, do you still have a clavicle in your is this a real thing?
I have I carry a clavicle around with me. Did I bring it to Ireland
You
last year?
must have
Yeah.
done because the story has come back over because I have been
Yeah.
asked to ask you that question.
Yes, I love anatomy, Lana, and I study anatomy. Study two things. Okay, here's a little tip for artists. Okay, there's two things you have to study in this technique. Number one, anatomy. Number two, the Greeks. And as you can see
Okay.
behind me, I have Zeus, and I study Zeus all the time.
Okay.
And you have to study the Greeks, and how they interpreted anatomy. So yeah, sometimes I carry some bones around with me. I'm a little odd, but they said Leonardo would wait outside the hospitals and for
Oh
people to
yeah.
die so he can, you know,
Yeah,
explore
he
the
used the
cadavers.
cadavers. Yeah, I did hear that. Thankfully, medicine has kind of taught us a lot since then, so we don't have to properly dive in.
Yes. Now
Um,
we have digital
yeah,
apps, which
yes,
is a
true.
lot less smelly.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot less messy. Um,
Yes.
but it does. I know. We always talk about the importance of drawing and understanding the depth of what you're drawing, but then um, it's quite incredible how the artists back in the 16th and 17th century were able to understand the human body so much to give it such a 3D, perspective when they were drawing on just their flat surface. Um,
Yes. Yes.
and obviously we know so much more now.
Yeah, and for the artist, it's up to us to impart that knowledge into our work and not be a slave to, let's say, photographs or, to digital technology too much, but to also have the knowledge so that we can kind of push it into our drawings, into our paintings, like very much like Michelangelo would, or Leonardo, you know. That's who I like to be influenced
Yeah.
by. It's just my personal taste, but yeah, it's very important. I think in the workshop, particularly the sanguine workshop, we're going to go over the muscles of the head and the fat in under our skin, and all the points, all the bones. We have 22 bones in the human skull. We're going to go over all of that. So we're going to try to fit it all in a week.
Yeah. I know
So
that.
it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, well, I know that the participants who were with you last year just came away with a wealth of information. They still talk about it and glean from it, and I know some of them are coming back to learn from you again,
Oh,
which is
I'm
great.
glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that.
And I know the sanguine one is, well, obviously, and the Trony workshop, but the sanguine is a really interesting one. Just using, is it the red chalk, or is there more to sanguine?
Yeah, so traditionally sanguine was red chalk or natural hematite, which is iron oxide, from the ground. And so it's a very hard rocks that artists would chip off and put into a stylus and draw with. And so many of those drawings were very, very small. But today we have kind of substitutes for that are a little bit more accessible. in our culture. And those substitutes range from anything from Conti to pastel colors,
Okay.
right? Within the same kind of coloration of the original natural hematite. So I have a set, and if people are coming to the workshop, you don't have to get the red chalk set. But if you do want the set that I use, you can go to my our website, mianoacademy.org, and you can order one.
Oh, you must
And
give, I must put that up on the website, just even for people to have a reference on what that what
yes,
why would
yes.
people choose to use sanguine or the red chalk?
It is something that is, what song means, right? In French, like song royale, it's blood,
Oh,
and it's very
okay.
earthy.
Okay.
And so it has kind of a very kind of primordial feel to it, in my opinion. And I just love the way it looks. Um, you don't get the real blacks that you can get with charcoal,
Hmm.
but you get a warmth, a feeling of warmth, a feeling of earth, and a feeling of humanity. And that just, it's, to me, it's beautiful. So I've kind of, I've been influenced by other artists, like I said, ancient ancient artists who always use the earth to draw the most primitive materials, and I just seem to love it. And then I do so much of it lately. It seems like a lot of artists want to learn how to use it. I use it in a little bit more of a painterly style than the old
Hmm.
masters. So it's a little bit more like how I would paint. And so we're dealing with principles of edges, our modeling of forms, the values, the shapes, all this stuff. But and so it can apply to, if you were to paint, you could learn a lot from the Sanguine workshop as well, because it's very much like painting, at least the way I do it.
I as you're speaking, I have the images that are on the website that we're using on the website, um, and they're just incredible in terms of the variety of tones and the depth in the painting, or the that you have using this technique. And I can see what you mean about the painterly approach to it, but it's still a very, you can see the kind of classical influence, and again just the composition and the use of light. They're really beautiful. I know they
That's
took our
kind of
breath away
you.
when we were looking at them, and we spoke to you last year about it. That was one of the requests, that if you came back, you can teach us this, the yeah, the beauty of sanguine, and
Oh, I just
how you
love it.
create these things.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. And I'm a kind of getting known for the sanguine drawings, even though I like to draw in any medium, but it's a thing, and it's fun. It's a different treatment than you would be if you were drawing with graphite or charcoal. It's a little more painterly. I used in my set. I have some sennelier uh,
Okay.
pastels that are very, very soft, and so I'm able to get some soft edges with it, and just treat it a little bit more like a painting. Um, but yeah, it has a rich warmth to it, and I think if 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 I'm ever could be successful at it, it would be in just trying to achieve some a human quality to the work.
Well, I certainly feel that you have done that, as you have in your the rest of your work. We're really excited to have you back over. What does the rest of today look like for you after you've managed to squeeze us in the middle of your day?
Yeah. So back to the studio, back to the students. I have apprentices here who are working, like I said, full time, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 every day,
Wow.
and some of them are finishing up their cast drawings. Some of them are finishing up, portrait and figure drawings. We have a brilliant group right now. I often feel like really lucky because we have some incredibly gifted students, and super engaged and just super into learning and hard workers. So for me, I just really enjoy showing up to the studio and helping and trying to impart what I know to others. And so, yeah, that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the day.
Oh, well, thank you so much, because I really botched up the time difference. So my apologies. Clearly, time difference and directions are not my strong
Oh,
point.
me neither, as you could
Well,
tell.
and here we
I'm
are.
always telling you, I'm like, you send me something, I'm like, I don't know, Lana, I'll just show up whenever.
Yeah. Well, you can't say your directions are bad. You'd finish your workshop at 4:30 here, and then you'd be in Kilkenny by 5:30,
That's
which is
right.
like, was very bizarre. I was like, please come back, please make it back for tomorrow, and then you'd show up like you hadn't left the hotel room
That
at
was
9 o'clock the next day.
amazing. I cannot wait to come back to Schoolhouse for Art, the new ARC approved atelier. You guys are amazing. I'm looking forward to the scones.
Yes.
Um, they are the
Well,
highlight,
for you.
definitely one of the highlights. The scones, the butter, and the raspberry jam was amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Neil again.
Yeah.
He's just the best, and
He
he's a
will.
wonderful artist,
He
and
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Thanks.
doing great work.
He is. You're very kind. Charles, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much. You're an absolute gem, and we can't wait to have you over in August. So hopefully, if there's any spaces left, that people can go onto our website to book into either the Portrait in Sanguine, which is the 6th to the 10th of August, and then we have the chiaroscuro
Yeah.
portrait painting in
I hope
oils.
they come to both. I hope they come
Yeah,
to both because one leads right into the other,
that
and you're going to be getting principles of drawing that I won't have to teach the following week in the principles of painting. So you should really, if you really want to learn, you should come to both.
yeah,
But
for sure.
one or the other is good, but both is even better.
Both you will come away with an incredible wealth of information for sure.
They'll
You
tie in.
enjoy, send all of your students a big hello from Ireland for
I
us.
sure will. I
And
sure will.
thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lana. I always enjoy talking to you.
Like,
Anytime.
thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye,
Okay.
Charles.
Take
Take
care.
care, you too. Bye bye.
Ciao.